This is the first app that I put together with a small company called Craft Hill Press that I started last year with this woman that I knew from Sesame Workshop. I come out of the print world, and she is a designer that comes out of the print world too, and we have illustrators that we're working with out of the print world. So we were all kind of desperate trying to break out of the binding and off the page and to take a bunch of ideas that I've had for years and start to do more interactive things with them. One of the valuable things that we've learned too is to pay for music. Duck Duck Moose will know this. The music is really, really important. I think with apps, we get more calls and emails from people saying that their kids walk around with this song, singing this song, and it's actually burned, seared into my brain, which I don't know if it's a good thing or not. But it's a very happy little song, and it's a great way to spread the app. Another great thing that we've done is I found great voiceover guys.
Nash Masher.
It's a valuable tool.
Nash. He's 7. Guess what he loves to do? His idea of heaven.
Also, one of the big things that I've learned about storytelling, coming from writing a bunch of different books, is to state right away what the character wants. I think it's really important to have, I know somebody was saying having goals right up front might not be the best thing, but I find when telling a story with a character, kids like to know what that character wants right away. So I just say right away kind of what he wants, and there's a lot of interactivity here. There's little hidden surprises, balloons, lots of different things that you can do with Nash. You just kind of slide them around. All of these. And then
find out. Here's a warning. I'm about to shout.
So we have these little hidden surprises. Kids now will touch everywhere, as everyone knows here. They're, oh, you got an invitation, Kathy.
Oh, I answered that.
Yes. Anyway, so what happens is Nash ends up...
Kerbash! That's right. Nash lives to smash.
That's right, Nash does live to smash. And what we've done here, though, is we've created that you can go back and forth. You can undo the damage that you've done. You can smash them again and again. Which is kind of, I don't know if this reveals a little too much about me, but as a kid, this was kind of my fantasy, was to go into a house and just be smashing. And I think that a lot of the things that we do appeal to boys, and also to girls as well, but we're definitely more of a boy type company. This is our little Matrix moment. So Nash ends up smashing up the party.
A pony filled with stuffing.
And the illustrator's name is Troy Cummings. He's awesome.
Smash, flash.
And so he just ends up smashing. Isn't this fun? He's so happy. He's smashing stuff. And then, you know, of course, let's go back. This is the way
What's that sound?
I should be presenting this, but if not, tell me. But he's sad. And then what happens is everybody cries.
Only bawling is heard.
And we do a pop-up element here with the pop-up books. There's always hidden surprises. I'll just skip to the end. Here's our vertigo moment.
As he sees in a flash.
Because he can't fix everything, so it gets upsetting. We have the mix and match thing that kids really seem to like. Because he's trying to fix it all. And there's a lot of texture here that our designer would talk about. A lot of our apps we try to do, this has a very kind of a 60s look to it. Our next one also has a bit of a 60s look. So what happens is he realizes that he can use his powers for good. The birthday girl stops him and says, listen, you know what, you like to smash? We need to smash her. You know, this is going to work out great. And what happens is that kids can do this again and again. And we found that kids really love that. They do it again and again. And here comes that groovy music again.
This is Nash.
You can dance.
You know what he loves. But only when someone, mom, dad, or a friend,
say it's okay. And then we used to have something that you could do where you could blow out on the iPhone version. You could blow out the candles. And somebody else had the lighter. I love that idea. I think we actually picked it up from Shmuel, who was doing the lighter. And but actually it made our iPhone app crash all the time. So I don't know if anybody has a solution to that. And we actually had to pull it off at the end. Now, one thing that we learned from doing this thanks to Warren, was for our second app, we actually did, is that upside down?
Oh, that's great design.
It's actually right side up onto the screen.
Interesting. Okay, I'll do it upside down. And what we learned from Warren, though, too, was that what we didn't do in the first book when we had the voiceover was...
My dad drives a roller coaster car.
We didn't highlight the words in the reading.
Guess what?
But we did it with this one. And this is like a little... there's lots of different things to touch and little fun little things. And what this story is about is this kid's family all drive vehicles from amusement park. And what he really wants is to drive one.
Today
And what we have here is a lot of dragging things you can do, and touching. And you can see, I'll just kind of flip through here. I got 2 minutes. And, sorry. And then his family drives his mom rides a carousel horse, and his grandfather drives a log flume. And he just wants to do all these things. Uncle Bob's one of my favorite characters because he looks like Uncle Bob. He just looks like an Uncle Bob I have.
Can I captain the ship?
And everything's touchable.
What, Hank? Uncle Bob says. I can't hear you.
And there are action words that we put in on every vehicle word that kids can touch and activate the remote and activate the takeoff again and again and again. And so that was one of the main things that we picked up from doing our first app. So we're gonna, his grandfather drives a log flume, and he still wants to do it
Can I
all.
take the paddle, I asked?
And just getting to the end. But everything is touchable and splashable. And then Aunt Frizzy, of course,
He twirls a spinning teacup.
she rides a twirling teacup. And there's always different things. We tried to involve girls more with this one, hopefully. We get it more of a girl-friendly thing, too. Also, one of the things that we like to do in the apps is...
I'm too dizzy to think.
one of the things that we try to do is... well, because nobody's letting them drive the different vehicles, so we sat. But we try to create stakes in the apps for kids. I know that we were laughing last night about having violence or whatever is kind of a joke, but I'm not talking about violence, but you want to have stakes that are meaningful to kids. And in order to do that, there has to be some kind of element of the kid not getting what he wants. So we're always looking for a little bit of an edge when we tell kids stories. Those are the ones that are most memorable. And that's something I learned even at Sesame Street, is that those Muppets are insane. They're right on the edge of madness. You know what I'm saying? All the best stories have that element of danger, of madness. And I'm done. But anyway, thank you for your time.
I think that was the first ever app done upside down.
Someone in my family.
This is too much education. What Columbo did there at the NYU's ITP program. If you've never been to ITP, he just flips the projector upside down to match reality to the world.
Smart.
Michael,
Smart.
could you flip it back over, please? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but all those engineer types would be wondering what cable to change.
Sorry, biasing our results. Do you want feedback up there?
Yeah, sure, why not?
All right.
Why don't we can start with Nash. Or Mark, you're going to say something first?
Hang on a second.
Aline, we're getting the microphone to Mark.
Can you hear me, Lee?
Okay. Yeah, if you want to do Nash Masher, go ahead, shoot it up there. And Mark, go ahead.
I think these are really fun stories, and I was talking to him about it before, because especially on the phone where you have a smaller format, you can really get a lot of action. The thing that I would add in here is that the thing about this stuff is that even though it's multiple clickable, it's somewhat consumable. You can just kind of grip through it after a while.
Right.
That's just one of the things about Nash Masher is you can just kind of go through it pretty quick, although it's fun.
Right.
And when I see the cars driving around on those loops, I want a page where I can draw the path,
Right.
and then say go, and the car follows them around. And I think kids would probably spend half an hour just making their own path.
There is you know what, if we had because we're such a small little company.
Why bother?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get to the end to show you that we actually have a little, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to do this. There's like a little moment where you can touch all the different people and send them on their way. But you're right, having an app where you could create a track, a roller coaster track, that was kind of our dream, you know, our fantasy.
The character looks an awful lot like you.
Is that right? All right.
Art imitates life.
Says the voice of grandma.
Yeah.
Are we voting? Oh, yeah. Oh.
You want to comment?
I love the artwork and the storytelling. I had a question about the first one you used, kind of the pop-up book metaphor with the paper engineering.
Yes.
And just interested in hearing why that one used that metaphor and then you did something different with direct touch on the second one. I like both. But.
Yeah, you know, it was, I felt like we had done the pop-up, and if we had done our second one as a pop-up, I think we would have been known as a pop-up app company, so we tried to get away from that. But you're right, I feel like the second one is kind of missing a little something. I don't know what it's missing, but it's a lot more touchable and interactive in a way, but I wish there were like little handles or indicators of something touching. But I wish my designer was here. She's a wonderful designer who came up with a lot of those concepts.
I like the stake idea, and disequilibration is what we call that.
Is that right?
Disequilibrate the child. Your job is to get them confused or get them upset, and then hopefully you get them upset in the right way so they don't hit the home button. And that's a real challenge.
Hi, I love the art. It's special. But in Nash Masher, the story has a lot of emotion, and the facial expressions are a little bit locked in. And I was wondering if you were limited by the art style or simply animation budget?
Yeah, it was definitely budget, and because it was our first app, we actually didn't know really what we were doing, and so it was hard to tell the illustrator what to do. And yeah, it was definitely a budgetary issue, and also a learning curve that we're on. I would love to go back, and you're right, putting like some kind of more of a, yeah, right, expressions on their faces.
One real quick lesson to learn is the ability to do and then undo, and wiring that concept to the finger. So you can smash, but then you can unsmash, but not just a binary thing. You can smash slowly and unsmash slowly, or smash fast if you're in that kind of a mood. So that's the magic of this title from my perspective.
This is just a general question about animating storybooks into app format. Has anyone researched how involved kids get in the animation as opposed to the story? Are they losing the story because they're only wanting to make things happen?
Yeah, I was going to say, so I could backtrack just for a second. Yes, I mean, we were often wondering if we should let some of this animation just run on its own, if that was getting too far away from involving the kid at all. I don't know if there's any research. Warren would know this better, obviously. But coming from the print world, where I'm still writing print books, you know, it's interesting for me, even not even being a kid reading it, but just writing it. I feel oftentimes like I'm kind of had my arms chopped off when I go back to write these books in print, because that's what I'm stuck with. I also find it much more challenging to go back to print now, because it's basically I have to create all the images through words, and I feel like I've lost a lot of tools.
Show my. Hope you can talk about that.
I think
We had a lot of research also with living books based on stories, and it was mostly done by people outside, and then they brought it to us and showed us what they'd done. And they had classrooms where kids were able to just had the story read to them by the teacher. They had situations where the kids were able to play with the story themselves, and then there was the ones who got to play with the living books. And then they came back and they asked kids about the story, which is a question we had too, is when they get so hung up in all the little things, but they wouldn't track the story. And the kids who had done the interactive version, the living books version, actually knew the story, what happened, way better than the kids who hadn't read it and were talking to them because they were involved in the process.
Can you cite who did these studies? I guess the research person?
I could have 10 years ago. This is 20 years ago we did this.
There's Mo, Curly, and Larry.
did you just ask him for his birth certificate?
The point is that it's a whole new ballgame with multi-touch, and there's a lot of research going on. Carly, do you have any news on this? I mean, I think it's emerging. Is that where you'd say it?
So, and I'll share a little bit later on. you know, you asked me to say some of the research is that organizations like the Community Center and other, you know, academic institutions are looking to do research on this kind of stuff, and very excited about getting together with developers. If you have a question, you know, can children learn better, or can my app be more effective if we implement certain different elements into the design? See an academic institution or an organization like ours and see if they'll do some real research that can then be published and inform the field. I think there's a lot of opportunities for collaboration between developers and the academic community here.
What do you got, a PhD?
That's you, Warren. this is my PhD.
Like, you know, man, you got the words coming out. Basically, what you just said is no. I'll just translate that for you. But, there's a lot of great research questions, right?
Right, but it's too early.
Well, I'm sorry, but we actually did quite a bit of research on our own, as well as working with some developmental psychologists. So this is very age-related, I have to say. So we compared our games and storybooks with our test groups. So we see that for the age of, for example, 2 to 3 years old, they don't, well, I shouldn't say